Let's get into it. What you're about to hear is too familiar for comfort. Number 10. The doorway effect. Where are my glasses? Where did I put my phone? Where are my keys? You were just holding them. You know you had them. You go to the basement to get something, and the moment you arrive, you stand there, completely blank. Not even the outline of a thought remains. You are smiling? So you know what I mean. This is not forgetfulness. This is not age. This is your brain working exactly as designed, and that is the unsettling part. In 2011, American psychologist Gabriel Radvansky confirmed what everyone already suspected. The brain does not store life as one continuous recording. It divides experience into chapters. Imagine a long corridor with many doors, each room a separate context, a separate file. The moment you cross a threshold, your brain closes the door behind you, files away everything from the previous room, and opens a blank page for the next. Clean, efficient, merciless. The fix, by the way, is to walk back. Return to the original room, and the chapter reopens. Your brain filed it. It did not delete it. Number 9. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. You have been thinking about buying a particular car, a bright orange one, an unusual color. And suddenly, that exact car is everywhere. At the traffic light, in the parking lot, passing you on the motorway. Or you are expecting a baby, and overnight, every street seems full of prams and pregnant women. The world has not changed, but something has. This is not coincidence, and it is not the universe sending you a message. Your brain operates a filtering system called the reticular activating system. Its job is brutal efficiency, because without it, every second of your life would be an overwhelming flood of sensory information. Millions of signals compete for your attention at every moment. The brain cannot process them all, so it filters aggressively and delivers only what it judges relevant to you right now. Before you wanted that car, it was being discarded. Now it is flagged. The filter has shifted, and so has your world. Which raises a question nobody can fully answer. What are you missing right now? Number 8. Contagious yawning. Someone across the room yawns, and something in you stirs. You resist. You press your lips together. It does not help. Because yawning spreads faster than gossip in a small town. No virus, no physical contact required. One person yawns, and one by one, the room follows. It travels through seeing, through hearing, and even through reading about it. There is a reasonable chance something is already happening in your face right now. Decades of research, dozens of theories, empathy, alertness, social bonding. One by one, each theory has failed to hold up under scrutiny. The honest answer is that science does not know. One of the most ancient, universal, and completely harmless human behaviors, and we still cannot explain what it is for. Some mysteries do not come with answers. They just come with yawns. Number 7. Childhood amnesia. Every baby enters the world and begins learning at a pace that will never be matched again. As an infant, you learn to walk, to speak, to recognize faces, to feel fear and warmth and love, all before you could form a single sentence. It was the most intense and transformative period of learning in your entire life, and you remember none of it. The standard explanation was simple. The hippocampus, the brain's memory center, was too immature to record anything. The memories were never made. Case closed. In March 2025, researchers at Yale University in the United States scanned the brains of awake infants and found something that dismantles that explanation entirely. The hippocampus was actively encoding memories. Researchers showed infants an image, and hours later, the babies recognized it. Their brains had stored it, as the scans clearly showed. The memories were always being made. The problem is not recording. The problem is retrieval. Your adult brain cannot access them, not because they were lost, but because they were stored in a different architecture. A version of you that no longer exists built those files in a format the person you became cannot open anymore. Those first years are still inside you, shaping everything, but unreachable. Number 6. Time distortion. Think of the last meeting you did not want to be in. Time stretched like chewing gum, slow, refusing to move. Now, think of a wonderful weekend with someone you love, or a long-awaited evening with close friends. It was gone before you had a chance to hold it. Time is constant. Your experience of it is not. And the gap between the two is enormous. The mechanism is dopamine. When the brain finds something rewarding, it releases dopamine, and dopamine compresses subjective time. Your internal clock accelerates. The Hungarian-American psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called the extreme version of this flow a state of absorption so complete that time perception essentially stops. Fear works in the opposite direction. A study of first-time skydivers found that the more afraid a person was, the longer they estimated the jump had lasted. Building on this, researchers at Harvard University in the United States identified that time compresses specifically when the experience exceeds what you expected, not simply when you are enjoying yourself. The brain constantly compares reality against a predicted baseline, and the gap distorts your clock. Which means the felt length of your life is not determined by how many years you live. It is determined by how often you are surprised by what those years contain. Number 5. Inattentional blindness. Here is something that will make you question every assumption you have about your own perception. You think you see the world around you. You do not. Harvard researchers showed participants a video of a group of people passing a basketball back and forth and asked them to count the passes. Midway through, a person in a full gorilla suit walked into the frame, beat their chest, and walked off. Half the participants never saw it. Not because of poor eyesight, because they were busy counting passes. Your brain is not a camera. It is a spotlight. Whatever falls inside the beam gets processed in vivid detail. Everything outside it is simply absent. The brain is physically incapable of processing everything it receives, so it filters aggressively and delivers only what it judges relevant to your current task. The problem is that filter has no override. Radiologists have missed tumors on scans while focused on a different abnormality, but something far more ordinary. You go to the supermarket looking for a product that has always come in a red package. You walk past it 3 times. It is exactly where it has always been, but the packaging is now green. Your brain was searching for red. Green did not exist. You are not seeing the world. You are seeing the part of the world your brain has decided matters. Everything else is invisible, and you will never know what you are missing. Number 4. Highway hypnosis. You have been driving for an hour. The road is familiar. And then, at some point, you surface and realize you have no memory of the last 30 kilometers. You were not asleep. The car stayed in its lane. You signaled, adjusted speed, navigated correctly. Everything was handled, but nobody was home. This is highway hypnosis, a dissociative state in which the conscious mind steps back and a deeply trained automated system takes over. It happens most reliably on familiar routes, in predictable conditions. The brain, always seeking efficiency, delegates the task entirely. Has this ever happened to you? You meant to go somewhere different today, a different destination, a different route. But the car went where it always goes, not where it was supposed to. What this reveals is something deeply strange. Competence and consciousness are 2 entirely separate systems. And the unsettling part is this: you do not need to be present to perform. Number 3. Déjà vu. You think you know what déjà vu is. Everyone does. Everyone is wrong. You walk into a room you have never entered before, and something stops you, a feeling so specific, so certain, that it takes your breath away for a second. You have been here. You know this smell, this light, this exact angle of the ceiling. And then, before you can even reach for the memory, it collapses. Because you know, with equal certainty, that you have not. Both truths exist at the same time, and for one disorienting moment, your brain cannot tell you which one is real. For a long time, it was explained as a memory malfunction, a glitch in the system, but British neuroscientist Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews discovered something far more surprising. Déjà vu is not your memory failing. It is your brain catching its own mistake. Your brain generated a false signal, a feeling of familiarity for something it had never stored. And a split second later, it noticed. It flagged it. It rejected it. What you experience as that strange, disorienting sensation is actually your brain's quality control working at full speed. But the question that remains unanswered is this: if the brain can generate a false signal convincing enough to feel like genuine memory, what else has it generated that it did not catch? Number 2. Intrusive thoughts. You are standing on a balcony, high up, safe, and without warning, a thought arrives. What if I jumped? You did not invite it. You do not want it. It appeared on its own, vivid, specific, and gone as quickly as it came. The French call it l'appel du vide, the call of the void. Studies show that more than 80% of people experience thoughts like this, sudden, unwanted, and often deeply disturbing. Not only about heights, about harm, about saying the unsayable, about doing the unthinkable. The content varies. The mechanism is the same. The brain is a simulation engine. It constantly models possible futures, including dangerous ones, not because it wants them, but because it needs to assess them. An intrusive thought is not a desire surfacing. It is a risk calculation misfiring, a probability model that generated an output you were never supposed to consciously receive. The thought was not yours, but it used your mind to arrive, and for a fraction of a second before you rejected it, you felt it as if it were. Number 1. Dream amnesia. You wake from a dream. You try to hold it. Within 2 minutes, half of it is already gone. Within 10 minutes, 90% has dissolved. Most mornings, it is as if it never existed, except for the rare fragment that refuses to let go. You are living a complete sensory experience every night, with its own landscapes, its own people, its own terror or beauty. The projector is running, but there is no tape to capture it. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health in the United States identified a specific cluster of neurons that fires during REM sleep and actively blocks the hippocampus from forming memories while the dream is running. The reason is protective. If dreams were encoded with the same weight as waking experience, the brain would lose the ability to distinguish what actually happened from what was only imagined. You forget your dreams so that reality remains real. We know that dreaming is essential because evolution does not preserve what is useless. What exactly happens in that nightly space and why it must be erased every morning, science has never fully answered. Sometimes fragments survive, a face, a feeling, a room that never existed, but they are just that, fragments. The rest is gone. Every night you live an entire life, and every morning you have no idea what you lost.